and welcome back. Today I am covering the history and the folklore and the magical use and some of the medicinal usage of Mentha Pulegium and also Hedeoma Pulegioides. These are European pennyroyal and American pennyroyal. If you're not new to our channel, then you probably have noticed that all of our herbal amenagogues, abortifacients, and contraceptives classes have been taken down. This is due to YouTube trying to crack down on misinformation, which I do support, except that our videos actually talked about the deadly misinformation that was common about those plants and their usages. And unfortunately, they did sort of a clean swath instead of trying to sort the chaff from the wheat, as it were. Anyway, so this class will not be detailing the how-to of using these plants as herbal abortifacients or amenagogues or as contraception, although we'll probably touch on the fact that it was historically used as those. If you are interested in the content that YouTube took down, we are now offering those as classes through the seminary website. You can find out more information on that at sanctumofthecraft.org. Again, that's sanctumofthecraft.org, but we are obeying the terms of YouTube's, wow, I don't even know how to say this. We are obeying YouTube's terms, and so we will not be covering how to use these herbs in that fashion. I'm hoping that the video won't just get taken down regardless. I did see that there is still pennyroyal content up from other herbalists, so I'm assuming that as long as you're not teaching how to use it as an herbal abortifacient, you can keep it up. I'm hoping. I don't know, we'll see if they take it down. As a reminder, nothing in these classes should ever be considered to constitute medical advice. I am not a medical professional. I cannot diagnose, treat, or cure any condition, ailment, or disease, so don't look at this to do that, because it cannot. Content warning, we will be discussing some of the deadly effects of using both of these plants for certain purposes and in certain fashions, so please don't do that. But also be aware that we are going to be talking about some potentially triggering incidences. All right. Let's get into this. The scientific names of the plants that we are covering today are Mentha Pulegium, which is commonly referred to as European pennyroyal or English pennyroyal, and Hedeoma Pulegioides, which is commonly referred to as American pennyroyal. One of the common names that pennyroyal is sometimes called is actually really offensive. It's a reference to the fact that the colonizers of North America observed it being used by First Nations individuals and referred to it as squaw mint. I would not recommend using that as a common name now, but it is one of the common names that you'll find it referred to it as in historical documentation. There's also pennyroyal, mosquito plant, pudding grass, tickweed, lurk in the ditch, run by the ground, organ broth, organ tea, pylorian, creeping pennyroyal, Cunningham mint. American pennyroyal in particular is sometimes called mock pennyroyal or false pennyroyal, fleabane, stinking balm, and Hedeoma. The etymology of pennyroyal. The name pennyroyal is a corruption of the old herbalist name for the plant, Puleol royale, or as it was called in the Middle Ages, Pileol royale. This likely comes down from Pulegium regium, which likely comes from the Latin pulex for flea, due to its traditional use as a flea repellent. So the name was a reference to the plant being the ruler of flea-repellent herbs. The name Pulegium was given to European pennyroyal by Pliny the Elder in the 1st century CE. Mentha, of course, comes from Latin for mint, which originally comes down from the ancient Greek, and which was likely originally a loanword from an extinct Mediterranean language. Hedeoma comes from the ancient Greek hedus, which means sweet, on the ancient Greek osme, which means odor. Pulegioides likely comes from the same word we've already covered, Latin Pulegium, and likely means like pennyroyal, in reference to it being so similar to European pennyroyal. Both of the pennyroyals are members of the Lamiaceae or mint family. These two beneficial herbs are classified in different genera, but they have very similar chemical constituents and medicinal properties, and they've been used relatively interchangeably in traditional herbal medicine for centuries now. Ancient history. The documented use of pennyroyal dates back to ancient Hellenic cultures. In regard to its contraceptive properties, it was referred to in a joking manner in Aristophanes' play Peace from 421 BCE. The god Hermes provided the male character Trigaios a female companion. When Trigaios asked if there would be a problem if she became pregnant, Hermes responded, "Not if you add a dose of pennyroyal." In another of Aristophanes' comedies, Lysistrata, after a pregnant female character on stage is told to withhold her body sexually from her husband, a slender female character, in comparison to the pregnant woman, is described as a very lovely land, well croppy and trimmed and spruced with pennyroyal. Greek and Roman physicians and scholars kept records containing information pertaining to pennyroyal's medicinal properties, as well as recipes used to prepare it. Pliny the Elder, in his encyclopedia Naturalis Historia, described the plant as an emmenagogue, a substance that stimulates or increases menstrual flow. He also recorded that it could be used to cause the uterus to expel a dead fetus. Pliny wrote a long list of disorders for which pennyroyal was a supposed remedy, and especially recommended it for hanging in sleeping rooms, like we put flowers in sick rooms now, and believed that it was more conducive to a person who was sick getting better, to their general health, than roses. The name Pulegium, as we referenced, came down from Pliny the Elder in the 1st century CE, who recorded its use in repelling fleas, as it was commonly spread on the floors for that purpose. Galen only listed pennyroyal as an emmenagogue, as did Oribasius. However, Roman and Greek writers Quintus Serenus Samonicus and Aspasia the physician both agreed that pennyroyal, when served in tepid water, was an effective abortifacient. A pseudo-epigraphical text attributed to Cleopatra appeared in late antiquity and the early Middle Ages. The work was not actually connected in any way with the famous Egyptian queen. The text recommended a number of abortifacients, but did not explicitly note any contraceptives. It did recommend the use of pennyroyal with wine in order to induce abortions. One popular herbal created by Pseudo Apuleius in the 4th century listed pennyroyal as an emmenagogue. Maimonides, a Jewish physician and theologian who practiced medicine in Cairo, in his work on Jewish law, condemned the destruction of the seed as a means of avoiding potential conception. And yet, in a regimen of health that he wrote for his monarch, he gave this advice: contraceptives to be used before intercourse. The things that prevent conception are, from a man's side, anointing the penis with the juice of onion, wood tar, or gallbladder of chicken, and 2, from the woman's side, inserting suppositories with juice of peppermint, or pennyroyal, or the seeds of leek after purity. William of Salicito, the town physician of Verona, drew heavily in his medical writings from the Arab schools, including Avicenna's canon. In his work, Summa Conservationis et Curationis, William of Salicito wrote a chapter titled "Those Things That Prohibit Conception and Cause Abortion." For abortion, he recorded recipes with savin, juniper, cypress, and pennyroyal, along with many other ingredients. Prior to his papacy, Peter of Spain wrote a medical work called The Treasure of Medicines for the Poor. As the professionalization of medicine had increasingly required that practitioners be university graduates, so their services were increasingly out of reach of the poor. There was a large chapter on plants to provoke menstruation, where Peter of Spain quoted from Gilbert the Englishman, Macer, and Dioscorides. Before recording the majority of their own recommended herbs, he created his own list, specifically of herbs that he felt were available in Europe to the poor, which included pennyroyal as something to provoke menstruation. In 1542 CE, Valerius Cordus wrote a series of recipes and submitted them to the Apothecary Guild at Nuremberg. They were considered so well done that the guild adopted the recipes as the official guide for the members of the guild. Eventually, most of Europe recognized the Dispensatorium, as it came to be called, as the standard apothecary guide. He gave a number of recipes for menstrual stimulations, one recipe was a powder molded into a cake called the Trochesca de Mira Tibrasis. I hope I said that right. Or a pill of myrrh, according to Albrasis, which was explicitly listed as it provokes menstruation and relieves passions that are a product of the retention of menses. It was compounded of the following ingredients. Note that 1 scruple equals 20 grains equals about 1.2 grams. 3 scruples of myrrh, 5 scruples of lupine, 2 scruples of opoponix, 1 scruple each of rue, wild mint, pennyroyal, cumin, blackberries, asafoetida, ferula, sagapenny, and artemisia. Another recipe, a syrup of artemisia according to Matthäus Gradibus, was used for a variety of purposes, as Corbus claimed. It calms the passions of the womb and retains things in their proper place. It resolves coldness, inflations, and sickness. It invigorates the nerves, opens pores, improves the blood, and commands and provokes menstruation. It was made from a combination of 44 substances, including artemisia, pennyroyal, a number of other mints, dittany, juniper, rue, betony, celery seeds, and cypress. European pennyroyal was mentioned in Herbals of the New World as one of the plants that the Pilgrims introduced to America. Early settlers in colonial Virginia also used dried European pennyroyal to eradicate pests. Pennyroyal was such a popular herb that the Royal Society published an article on its use against rattlesnakes in the first volume of its Philosophical Transactions in 1665 CE. John Gerard, an English botanist with a large herbal garden in London, and who was the author of a 1,484-page illustrated herbal or general history of plants, first published in 1597 CE, described pennyroyal as a water purifier. If you have pennyroyal in great quantity, dry and cast it into corrupt water, it helpeth it much, neither will it hurt them that drink thereof. As a purifier of the blood, it was highly spoken of. Pennyroyal, taken with honey, cleanseth the lungs and cleareth the breast from all gross and thick humours. He also recorded that chaste tree seeds could be taken with pennyroyal to bringeth down the menses. On pennyroyal alone, he wrote that it provoketh the monthly terms, bringeth forth the second, the dead child, and the unnatural birth. James Primrose, who studied in Paris, practiced medicine at Hull, and published his lengthy treatise on women's diseases in Latin in 1658 CE, believed that menstrual suppression and retention were harmful to a person. He also supported abortion. He detailed almost 13 pages of foods or additives to foods that could cause an abortion: thyme, hyssop, parsley, wild parsnip, which is from the carrot family, marjoram, mint, asparagus, saffron, pennyroyal, celery, and radishes. Under waters, called distillations, that caused an abortion, he cited artemisia, pennyroyal, betony, parsley, hyssop, anise, and satin juniper. Nicholas Culpeper, an English botanist, herbalist, physician, and astrologer, whose books include The English Physician, which was published in 1652 CE, later known as the Complete Herbal, which contained a store of pharmaceutical and herbal knowledge, wrote of European pennyroyal: drank with wine, it is good for venomous bites, and applied to the nostrils with vinegar, it revives those who faint and swoon. Dried and burnt, it strengthens the gums, helps the gout. If applied of itself to the place until it is red and applied in a plaster, it takes away spots or marks on the face. Applied with salt, it profits those that are splenetic or liver grown. The green herb, bruised and put into vinegar, cleanses foul ulcers and takes away the marks of bruises and blows about the eyes, and burns in the face, and leprosy, if drank and applied outwardly. 1 spoonful of the juice sweetened with sugar candy is a cure for whooping cough. In addition to these, Culpeper recommended pennyroyal use for gastrointestinal ailments such as constipation and hemorrhoids, as well as itching and even for toothaches. In 1694 CE, a practicing physician in London, John Peachey, wrote an innovative herbal. Unlike previous herbals, which primarily regurgitated the work of the ancients and the previous centuries, his work primarily documented the plants that he had personal experience with as a physician. He divided his work into 2 parts: plants that grew in England and those that were imported. Native plants that provoke the courses were recorded as calamine, cypress, agrimony, horehound, juniper, parsley, pennyroyal, and sage. In 1761 CE, Jan Ostruck, a professor of medicine at Paris, published a series of volumes on gynecology. For un secret admirable, like abortion, he recommended pennyroyal, artemisia, betony, calamine, savin, juniper, calamint, birthwort, century plant, anise and fenugreek seeds, celery, asparagus, and asarum roots, as well as polypodium, which is a fern, spikenard, and dittany. Early American colonists documented that American pennyroyal was used extensively by First Nations persons to treat a variety of ailments. The Chickasaw soaked the plant in water and then put it on the forehead to relieve itching and watery eyes. The Mohicans made a stomach-warming tea of it, and the Catawbas used it for a cold remedy. The Iroquois, Ojibwe, and Rappahannock used it to treat a variety of ailments, from headache and stomach distress to itching, watery eyes, and fevers. The Anahuac and Ojibwe were explicitly documented as using it as an abortifacient, but most other references to Native American persons making use of American pennyroyal as an emmenagogue and abortifacient fail to mention which First Nations peoples did so. The records from the 18th century denote it being popular in Michigan. White colonialist settlers learned of its use from the First Nations and used it for treatment of colds and fevers and for its use as an antispasmodic. It was also used to treat colic in infants. During those times, it was common to combine a tablespoon of brewer's yeast to a cup of either kind of pennyroyal hot water infusion in order to induce an abortion. After giving simple preparation instructions, the 1791 CE Edinburgh New Dispensatory claimed of pennyroyal that any form of it is now less frequently employed than formerly, and that distilled pennyroyal has no place in the Edinburgh Pharmacopoeia, but it is frequently employed as a carminative and antihysteric. Got to prevent that wandering womb. In the 1818 CE edition of the London Dispensatory, there were mentions of birth control, although kind of oblique ones. Pennyroyal was mentioned as having been formerly regarded as an emmenagogue. The plant was official in the American Dispensatory from 1831 CE to 1916 CE, being cited there as a stimulant, carminative, and as an emmenagogue. From 1916 CE to 1931 CE, the oil of pennyroyal was officially listed as an intestinal irritant and as an abortion-causing agent. An 1837 CE publication, The Family Nurse, described pennyroyal as an emmenagogue. The combination of pennyroyal and brewer's yeast was listed in the King's American Dispensatory in the late 1800s as reputed to be a safe and effective abortifacient. American pennyroyal became very popular amongst American herbalists in the early 20th century. The Collier's New Encyclopedia on Pennyroyal in 1921 CE cited its use in domestic medicine in the form of a warm infusion to promote perspiration and as an emmenagogue. A famous abortion clinic operated in the 1830s in New York, despite laws that had been passed against it around that time. It was operated by A.M. Morrisow, real name Charles R. Lohman, and Madame Restel, real name Anne Lohman. In 1847 CE, Marisau published The Married Woman's Private Medical Companion, which openly advocated for contraception and abortion. The book gave no formulas for herbal abortions, however, it did instruct people on how to seek out others who would sell them abortifacients, and for contraceptives, it did recommend the powders of garden thyme and pennyroyal. In America and Europe, oil of pennyroyal was also used commercially in abortifacient pills sold in the newspaper up until the anti-abortion laws of the late 1800s. A single issue of the Central Times in the small town of Dunn, North Carolina, on February 26, 1891 CE contained advertisements for 3 brands of pennyroyal pills for 4 cents, demonstrating that the existing Comstock laws at the time were not fully successful in prohibiting all male sales of abortifacients. A Mrs. M. Grieve, in her Modern Herbal, said, "A garland of pennyroyal made and worn about the head is of great force against the swimming in the head and the pains and giddiness thereof." Pennyroyal continued to be used through the 20th and 21st century and was included in the U.S. Pharmacopoeia as an abortifacient agent until 1931 CE. Appearance in media. Sarah Orne Jewett's The Country of the Pointed Firs contains a short story centered around pennyroyal titled Where the Pennyroyal Grew. Pennyroyal is also mentioned in Kurt Cobain's song Pennyroyal Tea. How poisonous, how harmful? The lower concentration of the really harmful secondary metabolites in pennyroyal hot water infusions are less harmful than pennyroyal oil infusions or pennyroyal essential oil. However, it is still recommended that people only drink pennyroyal hot water infusions periodically, as it's still pretty taxing on the body and it should not be drunk on a regular basis. Consumption of pennyroyal hot water infusions can still be fatal to infants and children and people with certain health conditions, which we'll get into in the contraindications. The most concentrated, most deadly form of the pennyroyal plant is pennyroyal essential oil. Pennyroyal infused oil and pennyroyal essential oils are used in aromatherapy as a bath additive and as an insect repellent, especially on dog collars. But neither of them are recommended to be taken internally. Pennyroyal essential oil contains many components, but primarily contains the volatile oil pulegione and other monoterpenes, which are secondary metabolites. Pulegione is deadly in high concentrations. The oil contains 80 to 92% of the cyclohexanone pulegione. Pulegione causes a variety of ailments in those who ingest it, and it is also what causes the plant to have its peppermint-like flavor. There are no current toxicokinetic studies performed on humans for the effects of pulegione, but there are studies performed on other mammals. When pulegione is ingested, it is broken down by the liver and reacts to form multiple toxic metabolites. Some of the toxic metabolites identified are menthofuran, piperetenone, piperitone, and menthone. These toxic metabolites are deadly. Pennyroyal infused oil and pennyroyal essential oil are highly toxic, and even small doses of the essential oil, 1 tablespoon, 15 milliliters, can cause syncope, seizures, coma, cardiopulmonary collapse, acute liver injury, acute hepatic necrosis, renal insufficiency, and multi-organ failure. People who have ingested either pennyroyal infused oil or pennyroyal essential oil in doses high enough to cause an abortion have experienced liver damage, kidney damage, massive multiple organ failure, excessive bleeding, and death. Do not ingest pennyroyal oil or essential oil. Don't do it. It is important to understand that how we extract the volatile components of plants varies how much, like what concentration of certain components of that plant we get. Some things are better extracted in alcohol. Some things are better extracted in vinegar. Some things are better extracted in hot water. Some things are better extracted in oil. If something is oily, it often extracts better into oil than it does into hot water. In the case of something like pennyroyal, that's actually a problem, where if you're extracting it into oil, you get a stronger concentration of pulegion. And if you're extracting only the essential oil, you're going to get a massively strong dose of pulegion, a deadly dose. And unfortunately, one of the things that we addressed in our video on this topic as an abortifacient and an emmenagogue was how deadly it is to ingest pennyroyal essential oil and all the people who had died because they'd done it. And in an effort to address videos on YouTube where people were being instructed to ingest pennyroyal infused oils and pennyroyal essential oils, they took down our video that said not to. Which is why this class is explicitly not an instruction video on herbal abortion. It is covering the history of its use in herbal medicine, it's covering its use in magic, it's covering its use in folklore, its culinary uses, it's covering how to grow it, it's covering how to harvest it, and it is explicitly not instructing on how to use it as an abortifacient or an emmenagogue or as a contraceptive, so hopefully it won't get taken down. All right. Studies on the toxicity of pulegion. A study conducted on rats showed that pulegion can cause a delayed action potential in cardiac muscles. The pulegion reportedly had relaxant effects on vascular smooth muscles, including the bladder, the intestine, and the trachea. The relaxant effects on these organs is attributed to pulegion blocking ion channels, which inhibit the ability of the cell to achieve its necessary action potential for a nerve impulse to fire, thus relaxing the muscles. Another study showed pulegion damaged ovarian tissue in mice and that increased dosages correlated to more severe damage. The impact of pulegion on follicular growth in the mice was tested. In the mice injected with pulegion, there was much lower follicular distribution per ovary than those not injected. Ovarian follicles secrete hormones that influence the menstruation cycle. Estrogen levels are lower than normal when follicle numbers are low, and it is possible that this could induce abortion or prevent ovulation. In one study, pulegion was given to female rats through oral administration in dosage of 0, 75, or 150 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Individual studies lasted for 4 to 6 weeks. There was increased instance of urothelial tumors that appeared as a result of the pennyroyal administration. Carcinomas in the bladder occurred at higher rates among mice that were injected. The mechanism of action that caused these effects involved cytotoxicity and regenerative cell proliferation. So basically, pulegion relaxes certain smooth muscles that you need to not be relaxed in order to still be alive. And it can cause the ovary not to extend a follicle and release an egg, which can actually damage reproductive abilities far past it being used for abortifacient or emmenagogic purposes, or as a contraceptive. And it can increase cytotoxicity and regenerative cell proliferation, causing carcinoma in the bladder, so causing bladder cancer. Now, these are in animal studies that were not in humans, but pennyroyal essential oil contains very high doses of pulegion, which has these very harmful effects when ingested. Right. Outcome and management. There is no known antidote for pennyroyal toxicity. Case studies involving pennyroyal poisonings have reported the use of gastric lavages and administration of emetics or vomiting-inducing agents or absorbents like activated charcoal. As glutathione depletion has been shown to regulate liver toxication and to detoxify the toxic metabolite of pulegion, N-acetylcysteine might be able to be administered in a manner similar to what is recommended for acetaminophen overdose. A study testing pulegion toxicity found inhibitors of cytochrome P450, such as Cobaltous chloride or piperonin butoxide blocked toxicity. Such testing has not been expanded to humans, however, as the pennyroyal mechanism of toxicity is still not fully understood. If you think that someone has swallowed pennyroyal infused oil or pennyroyal essential oil, please call poison control right away. Right away. The following are reported cases in which pennyroyal toxicity resulted in death. In 1897, a 23-year-old British woman died 8 days after swallowing a tablespoon of pennyroyal in order to induce menstruation. In 1868, physician W.A. Wilcox wrote into the Boston Medical and Surgical Journal to describe a patient who became comatose after taking just a spoonful of pennyroyal oil when her period was a few days late. Her symptoms, he said, initially made it appear as if she had overdosed on opium. Her pupils were fixed and dilated. The patient eventually recovered. Early 20th century. A court case concerned the death of a less fortunate woman who had taken pennyroyal pills to induce a miscarriage. Here the term pennyroyal pill might have referred to a concoction of abortifacients that included pennyroyal as well as a smattering of who knows what in the form of other herbs and chemicals. But no matter its contents, the pennyroyal pill led to the woman's death from pyemia, which is sepsis caused from pus-emitting bacteria in the blood. Circa 1909, the Supreme Court of Indiana convicted a Mr. Carter of prescribing and administering pennyroyal pills to a pregnant woman who died 2 months after her miscarriage. In August 1912, a 16-year-old girl from Maryland consumed 36 pennyroyal pills in order to induce an abortion. An autopsy revealed that the herbal abortion was only partially successful. So sometimes a dose of pennyroyal can be sufficient to kill someone and still not cause the abortion that they're hoping that it will cause. In 1978, according to a CDC morbidity and mortality report, 2 women facing pregnancy scares were hospitalized for hepatotoxicity caused by pennyroyal. The 2 women survived, suffering tingling fingers, nausea, dizziness, and strange burning sensations, but seemingly no permanent damage. November 1978, an 18-year-old pregnant woman from Denver, Colorado died after ingesting 1 ounce of concentrated pennyroyal oil in an effort to abort her fetus. Prior to her death, the victim had reported using the dried leaves of the plant to induce menstruation with no ill effects. So here's someone who's used the dried leaves as a hot water infusion as an emmenagogue and was like, oh, well, that was safe, so I'll ingest this same plant in a different fashion, and that killed them. She experienced nosebleeds, hemorrhages, and an enlarged liver. She died after 6 days in the hospital. During the autopsy, the doctors found 4,000 milliliters of fluid. During the autopsy, the doctors found 4,000 milliliters of fluid, or roughly 135 fluid ounces, in her peritoneal cavity. In July of 1994, Chris Humphrey, a 24-year-old woman, died in California. At the time of her death, Humphrey unknowingly had an ectopic pregnancy and drank an herbal infusion made with pennyroyal extract. According to one news report, there is a disagreement over whether Humphrey died as a result of the ectopic pregnancy or from pennyroyal poisoning. In 1996, of 4 cases of pennyroyal poisoning reported in San Francisco, 1 patient died from liver damage. In 2001, researchers began studying the pathways of Pulegium metabolism in the human body in order to determine the degree of toxicity more precisely. I'm going to repeat that one. In 2001, researchers began studying the pathways of Pulegium metabolism in the human body in order to determine the degree of toxicity more precisely. Right. Medicinal uses. Despite serious safety concerns, pennyroyal has traditionally been used medicinally for colds, pneumonia, respiratory conditions, stomach pains, gas, intestinal disorders, muscle spasms, to cause sweating, to increase urine production, for febrile conditions, influenza, smallpox, tuberculosis, indigestion, and gastrointestinal complaints. Externally, pennyroyal has been used to kill germs, treat skin conditions and bruising, for venomous snake bites, to repel insects, and as a flea-killing bath. Of all of these, the only action studied and recommended commonly in modern times is as a flea-killing bath and insect repellent. Mentha Pulegium. Mentha Pulegium increases the secretion of digestive juices, so it has been used as a digestive tonic to relieve flatulence and to help with colic. It is a uterine contracting stimulant that can be used as both an emmenagogue and abortifacient. It is antiseptic, antispasmodic, carminative, diaphoretic, sedative, and stimulant. A hot water infusion made from the leaves has been used to treat fevers, headaches, minor respiratory infections, digestive disorders, and intestinal worms. Externally, an infusion has been used to treat itchiness, formication, inflamed skin conditions, and rheumatic conditions. The essential oil in the leaves is antiseptic, although toxic in large doses, and should never be taken internally, only used externally. Hedeoma Pulegioides is mainly used in the treatment of digestive disorders, colds, coughs, especially whooping cough, dysmenorrhea, which is painful menstruation, and as an aid to hasten and ease childbirth due to its uterine contracting abilities. It also is an emmenagogue and abortifacient. A hot water infusion made from the leaves or flowering stems is carminative, rubefacient, and stimulant. It promotes perspiration. The essential oil distilled from the plants when they are in flower is used in the same way as the leaves, but should never be ingested and only used topically. Topical use can cause dermatitis in some people. Side effects. Not enough is known about the safety of using pennyroyal leaf as a hot water infusion. Pennyroyal may cause abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, burning of the throat, fever, confusion, restlessness, lethargy, dizziness, vision and hearing problems, increased blood pressure, and increased pulse rate and dermatitis. In hot water infusion form, small amounts have been used without reported side effects, but it should still be used in a safer, saner, and risk-aware fashion. Higher doses can cause seizures, lung failure, liver necrosis, multi-organ shutdown, brain damage, and death. Repeated use of an alcoholic pennyroyal leaf extract over a period of 2 weeks has been linked to a death. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, it is unsafe to take pennyroyal by mouth or apply it to your skin. Pennyroyal leaf hot water infusion starts menstruation, which could also threaten a desired pregnancy. It is likely unsafe to give children pennyroyal by mouth. 2 infants developed serious liver and nervous system injuries after taking pennyroyal, and 1 infant died. Kidney disease. The oils in pennyroyal can irritate the kidney and make existing kidney disease worse. Liver disease. The oil in pennyroyal can cause liver damage and might make existing liver disease worse. The essential oil of both species of pennyroyal should never be ingested, as it can cause death. The essential oil of Hedeoma Pulegioides can cause dermatitis in some people when used topically. Always put an essential oil into a carrier oil. Never directly apply essential oil to your skin. Culinary uses. Both pennyroyals were commonly used as culinary herbs throughout history. European pennyroyal was used by the Greeks and Romans. A large number of the recipes in the Roman cookbook of Apicius called for the use of pennyroyal, often along with such herbs as lovage, oregano, and coriander. Although it was commonly used for cooking in the Middle Ages, primarily for stuffing pork in combination with pepper and honey, its flavor is not as pleasant as that of other mints, and it is not commonly used for culinary purposes today. But specifically, Mentha Pulegium, the leaves, flowering tops, and stems are all edible. However, it is the leaves that are generally eaten, raw or cooked. It has a spearmint-like flavor. It is used as flavoring in salads or cooked foods. A hot water infusion is made from the fresh or dried leaves. Hedeoma Pulegioides. The leaves, flowering tops, and stems are all edible. However, it is the leaves that are generally eaten raw or cooked. The leaves have a very strong mint-like aroma and flavor. They can be used as a hot water infusion or as a culinary flavoring. An essential oil derived from the plant is used in the food industry as a culinary flavoring in beverages, ice creams, and baked goods. It's just used in very small amounts. Magical uses. Due to its association with midwifery, pennyroyal is associated with Hecate, Eileithyia, I'm probably mispronouncing that, and goddesses associated with the art. Pennyroyal is used in healing spells and sachets. It is said that just hanging a pennyroyal branch in a sick room will aid in healing. Pennyroyal is kept in sachets as a ward against pregnancy. It is said that pennyroyal in your shoes will protect you from tired feet. Include pennyroyal in blessings before traveling and spells designed to protect a traveler. It is also used against the evil eye and for spells in removing the evil eye. Garlands of pennyroyal worn about the head were supposed to prevent headaches and giddiness and to help clear the mind. It was even believed to purify foul water. In flower language, pennyroyal means flee away. There's a pun in this, as pennyroyal prevented insect bites and so was a flee away powder. It literally repelled fleas. But it was also referred to as causing the fetus to flee away or giving the person the ability to flee a relationship that they didn't wish to be trapped in by an infant. Household uses. As aforementioned, European pennyroyal has been used since Roman times to keep away fleas. Both pennyroyals can be used for this. The tincture can be sprayed into a pet's bedding or added to wash water or as a sachet to be placed in the dryer. Do not allow pets to ingest either pennyroyal. It is not safe for pets to ingest. Infusing olive oil with pennyroyal and other insect-repelling herbs can create an herbal insect repellent to smooth onto skin, as long as the person isn't allergic, isn't one of the people who gets dermatitis for it, or pregnant. This should not be used on a person who is pregnant, nursing, or attempting to conceive. At least one study has shown that both pennyroyals create an oil that has potent acaricidal activity against household dust mites. In gardening, the plant is used to repel unwanted insect pests. The entire plant exudes a strong, acrid aroma and has a mint flavor. The scent is offensive to fleas, chiggers, mosquitoes, and other irritating insects. Specifically, the household uses of Mentha Pulegium, the essential oil that is obtained from the whole plant can be used in soap making and as a cleanser for fabrics. The plant can be used as a ground cover. Both the growing and the dried plant repel fleas, ants, moths, rats, and mice. The plant has been used as a strewing herb in granaries to keep rodents away from the grain. A strong infusion applied around the face can keep gnats away in summer. Specifically, Hedeoma Pulegioides household uses. The essential oil is used as an ingredient in commercial insect repellents and cleaning products, including some pet collars. So if you've bought like a natural pet collar that's supposed to repel insects, it might actually contain American pennyroyal. The live plant is used as an insect repellent in gardens. When rubbed on the body, it is said to repel ticks. Description. Both pennyroyals are considered amongst some of the smallest of the mints. Mentha Pulegium can be distinguished from Hedeoma Pulegioides by both its preferred habitat and its appearance. Mentha Pulegium hugs the ground where it grows, with only the flower stalk rising to a height of about 31 centimeters or 1 foot. The leaves are smaller than those of American pennyroyal, measuring only about 1.3 centimeters or a half an inch long. The tiny tubular blossoms have 4 stamens, whereas on Hedeoma Pulegioides, there are only 2 stamens in each flower, sometimes actually only 1. Mentha Pulegium is distinguished from the other mint species by its inflorescence. Inflorescence means that there's a group of flowers arranged on a floral axis, which consists of remote ventriculisters, but which is not leafy at apex. It is also distinguished from the other mint species by the calyx, which has unequal teeth, weakly two-lipped, while the corolla tube is gibbous beneath. It is perennial. Most varieties grow approximately 0.4 meters, so 1 foot 4 inches, by 0.6 meters, so 2 feet. The 2 most common varieties in the United States, decumens and erecta, have some differences from each other. Mentha Pulegium variety decumens has weak prostate stems, which are bluntly quadrangle and 7.62 centimeters, 3 inches, to 30.48 centimeters, 12 inches long. They readily take root at the lower joints or nodes. The stems form a dense green turf with the flowering stems sparingly produced laying on the plant. The leaves are opposite and shortly stalked. The leaves are equally hairy on both sides, shaped in a slightly round oval. The leaves are grayish green and 2.54 centimeters, 1 inch, to 3.81 centimeters, 1.5 inches long, and 1.2 centimeters, or a half inch, wide. The flowers are in whorled clusters of 10 to 12, rising in tiers one above the other at the nodes where the leaves are in pair. The flowers start about halfway up the stem. The flowers are reddish purple or lilac blue. They bloom anywhere from July to October. The seed is light brown, oval, and very small. The seeds ripen from September to October. The species is hermaphroditic, meaning that it has both sex organs needed to reproduce, and it is pollinated by bees. The other variety, erecta, is very similar, however it has erect stems which do not root at the nodes and which are not decumbent. It is 20.32 centimeters, 8 inches, to 30.48 centimeters, 12 inches high. Although it is the rarer variety, it is the best for cultivation as it can be reaped and tied up into bundles quite easily. Hedeoma Pulegioides. American pennyroyal is an annual that is 0.3 meters, 1 foot, by 0.2 meters, 0 feet, 8 inches. It has stems that are ascending to erect, approximately 35 centimeters, or 13.77 inches, sharply four-angled, usually branched, and finely pubescent with spreading hairs. The stems are terete and light green. The opposite leaves, 2 leaves per node, are about 2.54 centimeters, or 1 inch, long, and 0.64 centimeters, or about a quarter inch, across. The leaves are simple, lobed or unlobed, but not separated into leaflets, and elliptical, and either oblong lanceolate or oblong oblanceolate. The margins of the leaves are smooth, or they have a few blunt teeth towards their tips. The petioles of the leaves are short and slender. The upper surface of the leaves is glabrous, the undersurface sparsely and finely hairy, also with usually conspicuous sessile glands. Like Mentha Pulegium, Hedeoma Pulegioides is differentiated by its inflorescence. I can talk, really. I'm not sure that I have any proof of it today, but I'm really trying. It has small axillary clusters of 1 to 4 flowers at most nodes, the flowers on short stalks with narrow bractlets at the base. Each flower is about 0.64 centimeters, or about a quarter inch long and half as much across. At the base of each flower, there is a pair of leafy bracts which are at least as long as the flower. There are 5 petals, sepals, or tepals in the flower that are fused into a cup or tube-like shape. Along the outer rim of the corolla, there is an upper lobe, 2 lateral lobes, and a lower lobe. The lobes are short and rounded, although not always well defined. The hairy ridged calyx has 3 upper triangular teeth and 2 lower teeth that are slender lanceolate. The flowers are white or blue-violet with a contrasting color near its throat. The upper lips sometimes with lighter or darker spots are mottling towards the base. There are 2 stamens generally, either white or pink tinged, although sometimes there is only 1. The individual flowers are very short-lived. At maturity, each fertile flower is replaced by 4 nutlets. The blooming period occurs from midsummer to early fall and lasts 1 to 3 months. The seeds are light brown, oval, and very small. The species is hermaphroditic, meaning that it has both sex organs needed to reproduce, and it is pollinated by bees. So where to find pennyroyal? European pennyroyal is now considered naturalized to the United States. During a class that I just taught on this topic, I explained the difference between naturalized plants, invasive plants, exotic plants, etc. But just because a plant is considered naturalized by some people does not mean that it is not considered invasive by other people. However, you can generally find European pennyroyal, Mentha Pulegium, all around the United States, along with the native pennyroyal, Hedeoma Pulegioides, around the United States as well. It is found wild and in the moist soil on the borders of ponds and streams and near pools on heaths and commons. Of European pennyroyal, Gerard spoke of it as being found abundantly on a common at Mile End near London, about the holes and ponds thereof, in sundry places from whence poor women bring plenty to sell in London markets. So yeah, it's plentiful through Europe and the Americas, both kinds, if you're looking for it. Cultivation and propagation. Both pennyroyals grow abundantly, and both can take over a garden if the gardener is not careful, as most things in the mint family do. If you've ever grown anything in the mint family, you know it can take over. Both pennyroyals are negatively affected by drought. Both thrive in moist soil and should be watered shortly after planting. Mentha species are very prone to hybridization, and so the seed cannot be relied upon to breed true. The content of medicinal oils in the plant may vary significantly, and even vary significantly from season to season that you're growing it. Like if you grow it one year and then you grow it another year, it may have significantly different oil content. The same can be true based on environmental effects, like how dry and hot of a summer did you have versus how often did it rain. So, always judge how oily a plant is before you extract its oils. Mentha Pulegium does best in moist soil, but will survive in most environments that are not truly drought-stricken. It will grow in light, sandy soils, medium loamy soils, and heavy clay soils, although it prefers slightly acidic soil with adequate drainage. It prefers a sunny location, and that is best for the production of the essential oils, but it will succeed in partial shade. It has creeping, spreading underground roots that grow in horizontal masses, similar to other mints. Some of the root mass can be pulled to the surface any time during its dormant period in the winter and laid out on good soil, then covered with 2 to 3 inches of the same oil. They will then create fresh shoots and new plants and spread. It can also be divided in September in environments where winters are mild, or in April in environments where winters are harsh. To have overwintered live Mentha Pulegium, they can be put in boxes in a moderately warm house. A person can also take the top of the plant as cutting, each with 4 to 5 joints, and put these in light, sandy soil. Frost may cause the plant to die off in patches, so it is a safer plan to make new cuttings before any dangers of frost. The plants will quickly form roots. In spring, the new plants can be hardened off and then planted. Towards the end of autumn, the stalks should be cut down to the ground, and the bed that they are in should be covered with 1 inch of fresh soil. A European pennyroyal can be sustained for 4 or 5 years when well managed with favorable soil. In spring, sow seeds on a cold frame. Place seedlings into individual pots where they are large enough to handle. Harden them off in late spring and plant them in early summer. The 2 most common varieties in the United States, decumans and erecta, have some differences from each other. One, decumans, has the weak prostate stems and spreads by rooting where the stems touch the ground. It is only 10 centimeters or 3.94 inches tall. Any stems that touch the ground may form a new plant. The other, erecta, is erect and does not spread so freely and grows about 30 centimeters or 11.81 inches tall, thus making it easier to harvest. There is also at least one named variety called dwarf that is only a few centimeters tall. This variety is best grown as a ground cover and lawn replacement, similar to creeping thyme or creeping phlox. Mentha Pulegium is a good companion plant for cabbages and tomatoes, as it repels cabbage root fly and other burrowing insects. It also repels deer. Hedeoma Pulegioides. Hedeoma Pulegioides prefers a sunnier location than Mentha Pulegium in well-drained soil. It needs moist soil to thrive and will be diminished by drought conditions. It will survive in light, sandy, medium, loamy, and heavy clay soils, though it prefers better draining soil. It will grow in nutritionally poor soil that has been depleted. Seeds can be direct sown in spring or autumn. Once established, it will naturally and easily self-seed on its own. Seeds can also be stored in the fridge in fall and then sown in spring. Plant the seeds in prepared beds after danger of frost has passed. Plant seeds on the soil surface, just barely covered by 1/8 of an inch of soil or less, and moisten the soil with a light mist. Keep the soil in the seed beds moist throughout germination, and sprouts should start to emerge in 2 weeks. It is also possible to start seeds indoors under grow lights, and then once seedlings emerge, they can easily be transplanted into the garden in mid-spring. Seeds require light to germinate, but will grow rather quickly after sprouting. They should be started in small containers in ordinary potting soil. 6 or 7 seeds should be started in each pot, covered with 1/8 inch of potting soil. They need light in order to germinate. They should be started 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost date. Seeds should sprout within 2 to 3 weeks. The seedlings can be transported outdoors after all danger of frost is past. They can be planted 18 to 24 inches apart. Established plants can be divided once every 3 years during the early weeks of spring, after all the danger of frost has passed. It can also be propagated from rhizome division, also in the spring. Hedeoma Pulegioides should be cut back to ground level after they die back in late fall or early winter. Any potted specimens may be overwintered in the house or in a greenhouse. Harvesting and storage. Cut the stems when the plant is just about ready to flower. Gather fresh leaves in summer on a dry and sunny day when the herb is in blossom. Hang to dry in bunches in a light, airy room out of direct sunlight. When the herb is thoroughly dry, strip off the leaves for use. Store in tightly sealed, clearly labeled, dark glass containers. The leaves are harvested in the summer as the plant comes into flower and are used fresh or dried for later use. That's everything I wanted to cover today. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you are interested in the information that I had to take out of this class when I re-recorded it after YouTube deleted the original class, then again, go to sanctumofthecraft.org. Again, that is sanctumofthecraft.org. And enroll in our class on the traditional and historical use of herbal emmenagogues, abortifacients, and contraceptives. We also do have the full information available in a booklet. It did go out to our patrons. Patrons at the $15 and up amount actually got a print booklet with all of this information, but everybody got the ebook and the PDF. So if you're looking for that, you can find that on Patreon, or you can email me at staff@sanctumofthecraft.org, and I'd be happy to send you the PDF. All right, I think that's absolutely everything I wanted to cover for YouTube. Thank you for joining us, and be safe out there, everyone.